So there you go. Recording is in progress. We cannot swear anymore. We must be more careful what we say, and we cannot talk about anybody who's not here. So, um, as always, we predominantly are a group of TASA people, Terra Australis state assemblies. We're state nationals. Rachel's a guest. Rachel's not a state national yet, but she probably will be one day, and she'd be welcome, I can tell you. And we start off every week with this little talk about us being state nationals, and that's the common denominator. But we failed to mention that there's a lot of state nationals all around the world. We've got, I don't know, roughly 3,000 in Australia. There's heaps and heaps in America because that's where the movement started. There's actually an active assembly in each of the 50 states over there. And the reason I'm going into this a bit is because Sarah's going to tell us about what's been going on a little bit in the rest of the world. So there's assemblies in Africa, Ireland, I don't know, how many countries, Sarah? 40 countries?
I think last time Trevor added them all up, and that was 18 months ago, there were 27 at that point in time. And I know that there's definitely two more assemblies have been stood up since then, like properly stood up in Europe. But I think the big thing is I'm not sure about assemblies in Africa, although I do know, like, obviously the South African Assembly is putting out some great stuff. So if you're ever on Facebook and have a look at the stuff they're putting out some really good stuff. But Africa as a whole, now I've been watching this YouTube channel called Power and Pulse with a plus at the end of it. I'll give it to, send it to Wayne and he can put it in the chat, or like in the description of the chat. But I've been watching it, and I tell you what's going on over in Africa is phenomenal. It really is. Now, quite a few years ago, some of you who've sort of been following along for a while will know that Anna has referenced Africa a few times, and in the way that we collectively have been putting out, I suppose, group meditations, intentions, whatever, to actually help lift some seals that were put in to block the energy flowing into Africa many years ago. And we've been doing a bit of work on removing those seals, and we can see that Africa is coming to the fore now. But I know we hear about Burkina Faso quite a lot because Burkina Faso is the latest country to be pushing back against the French, or whoever it is. I'm pretty sure it's the French who colonized it. I'm not sure that many people know that Madagascar at the moment is trying to renegotiate deals with Russia and is reaching out to other countries and things like other nations in an attempt to pull away from France and start to build relationships with other countries. We know that Ghana is doing some interesting stuff. Mali has just kind of thrown a few things down. Namibia has, am I talking about Namibia? I'm sure it's Namibia, have just, actually, before I go and put that down, let me just have a look here. Yes, Namibia have just literally gone to the International Monetary Fund, which is where that's the fund that all of the African nations go to say, oh, please, we can't pay off our debt. Can we have more money to, pay off the interest from the last debt? Namibia just went in and said, here's a check to pay off all the debt. Just bang, there's the money. So goodbye, which is amazing. And there's this channel, as I said, called Power and Pulse, and she's this African lady, and she talks about what's going on right across. They call it the Sahel, which is basically from the Red Sea right across. And she's talking about what's actually going on over there in Africa, and it is phenomenal. And the thing that she sort of, I was watching one today and she said, this country, the Congo, they've got all of this mineral and they could actually, take that back. And Namibia's got this and someone else has got gold and someone else has got coal. And why should we be, sending that off to these other countries for them to make money and for them to come back and give us like, a tenth of what it's actually worth, when we should be building up our own country and actually bargaining in our own right. And I thought, you know what? Every single mineral she mentioned, every single one of them, we've got. And we're doing the same thing. We're flogging it off for cents on the dollar to whoever, and we're not getting any of it ourselves. And this is the thing, like the punters.
Time we stood up, do you think?
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. In those African countries have woken up and they're getting themselves out of that world system. And you're right, Burkina Faso was captive to the French. They used to dig their gold out of the ground and send all the gold to France. And then one day when old mate took over, he said, no more, you're not getting our gold anymore. They're keeping it, changing their country. And from what you're saying, Sarah, lots of other countries over there are doing the same. Yeah, so it's very good, and maybe we do need to step up. I guess
good on them, because Ray, I know you want to talk, but I have nothing but admiration for these people. It is interesting that most of them, not all of them, but most of them have got military leadership, like properly elected, but they're like ex-generals or they've worked in the military, and they are taking a very organised approach to it. Namibia, no, she was a politician and she's worked in politics for a long time, but when she finally got elected, she just went to ground and she went, right, we're not offering foreign aid. We need to aid here. We're not going to do this. We're not going to spend money on that. She just did the budget and basically went, right, we're just going to put all our money back into this until we pay off that debt. And so she's paid it off, and now they've got nothing on them. And it's like, well, okay, we're a free country now. So it really is debt slavery, but it's in nations. And it just makes me so annoyed that we can't do it here. And we've got so many different freedom groups out there. And how hard would it be for us just to get 2 or 3 of the people, of the talking heads from each of those groups together in one room and go, right, what do we have to do? What do we actually have to do to get this moving in the right direction? Because none of these politicians have got our best interests at heart. Very well, they would say they do, but how many of them have been bought out by interests, let's just say? Anyway, I'll shut up. Ray wants to talk.
Well, here is a copy of the email that I sent the president of Burkina Faso a few months ago now. What's the date here? Let's see if I can see it. September last year. I wrote to him. I got a reply from the admin that they've received it. So I will probably try and follow this up at some point because they work different hours over there. But yeah, you see, this is not new. He's had 21 attempts on his life at last count. That doesn't shock me because, once again, remember, we haven't been taught history. We've been taught a narrative of history. This has been going on for centuries and centuries and centuries. It's not new. This is the thing. A lot of people are still of the mentality, how come people aren't standing up around the world? They're not staying in their countries and fighting for their countries. They're migrating overseas. That's because they have been doing it, and they've been doing it for decades and decades and decades, and they know that all the media is going to do is demonize them as terrorists or demonize them as insurrectionists. So they go, hey, what can we do? So that's what they just end up saying, look, I've just got to look after myself and my family. But it's not new. I mean, firstly, Burkina Faso's president is a Muslim. This is why he's getting things going, because of the fact that he takes his religion seriously. And of course, if you want the Quran summarized in one sentence, put aside what the media tell you, it's very simple. We hate injustice and oppression, and you should too. That's basically the message of the Quran. So it doesn't shock me that it takes an Islamic president to stand up to them. He's a young chap. I think he's born in 88. What would that make him? 38 years old. And
Tail end of Gen X.
yeah, so there were 14 French companies, and he said to them, look, if you want to stay and do business here, these are the new terms, which means that they get a lot less of the share and Burkina Faso gets a lot more. However, that's going to like really eat into their profit margins, but they're still going to make a profit. 11 refused the deal, and so he sent them back to France. 3 agreed to stay on a reduced level simply for PR reasons. But what you'll see is, and again, sadly, the majority of the world will fall for it, despite the fact that they think that they're aware. Some bomb will go off, or you're going to see some terror cell operating there, and but then again, let's summarize. Throughout the centuries, when you look at the terror cells or insurrectionists or guerrilla warfare, whatever you want to call them, know one thing. They are the friends of the West. It's the West's friends that are doing that. Otherwise, we all know what would happen if you have a leader that stands up and puts their country first. Just go to Africa in the last 3 decades. We all know what happened to Patrice Lumumba and Thomas Sankara. I yield.
Well, I'll tell you what, Ray, you're a better man than me. There's the old mate in Burkina Faso. He's had 21 attempts on his life, and you've just linked your name to his. You're a lot braver than me.
No, because I've seen, I see what they do. You're talking to a guy who came home from work. What was it, in 2001 on September 11? I was selling insurance at the time and feeling.
We've lost Ray.
Ray's
gone.
frozen.
Anyway, so yes, it's
on.
really interesting to see what's going on over there, and I just wish we could take a little bit of what they're doing and apply it here.
I think in time, everything's, we talk about things happening organically, and I think given time that it will happen here. I don't know how far away that is, but yeah. So that's Africa. Now, I was a little bit remiss earlier on because we were chatting before we went to live. But Rachel, I didn't really introduce you, and so now we're going to go to you. I'll let you tell us what you're going to do, Rachel. Rachel's a local on Darwin, and I've met her through our assembly in Darwin, and we've had some good dealings with the family. And I found out the other day that Rachel knows a lot about stress management, and there's a lot of stress about at the moment. So, Rachel, do you want to launch into that? And you've also got a Zoom call coming up where you're prepared to share your knowledge.
Yes.
And so if you want to talk about yourself and about that, I'll see if I can find the flyer towards the end.
Okay.
And we'll put that up here. And so off you go, mate.
Thank you, Wayne. So, yes, my name is Rachel Jacoby. How long have I got, Wayne? Just so I can figure out what bits to leave out.
Yeah, well, go for 15 minutes if you like.
Yeah, okay, cool. So, I guess, so I work as a relationship coach. That's my main thing. I do most of my work on Zoom because for a couple of reasons. One is I live in a quite like remote, well, not remote, but a fair way out of town in Darwin, and it's a big drive into town. So I just decided I was I would be able to be a little bit more efficient if I worked through Zoom online. Um, and the other reason is because for the last 2.5 years or so, I've been homeschooling my kids, for reasons which I'm sure I don't need to explain to you guys. It sounds like you're kind of on top of all of that. Um, but they decided recently that they wanted to go back to school. They are 10, 12, and 13. And unfortunately, the homeschool community here in Darwin isn't particularly, I don't know, thriving. And it's full of a lot of people who are just not into education at all, as opposed to not into the education system. And so we weren't really, my kids are avid learners and I am an avid teacher, and my style of teaching, what I want to teach my kids, is very different to what a lot of the other homeschooling parents are doing. And so I in the last 2.5 years pretty well covered everything I wanted to with my kids, and they were just itching to have a little bit more connection with other kids their age. So I said, all right, off you go to school. Just remember, you're not there to learn, you're there to socialize. We can continue doing the learning at home. So that's freed up a lot of my time. So I I've been on this, I guess, whatever you guys want to call it, the freedom journey, sort of, so to speak. Since COVID, that's what brought my awareness to a lot of this stuff. And I've been working as a relationship coach since probably about 2018 or so. And my background is in clinical hypnotherapy. That was where I started my education, followed by life coaching. And then I added EFT tapping to it, which is, do you guys know about EFT? Yeah, it's an incredible resource to help process and release trauma, but also just generally to calm down the nervous system. And when I started on, during COVID and throughout my my self-education since then around what's going on in the world and what do we do about it, my question to myself was always, I need to educate, like I need to educate people on truth, and how can I use my relationship coaching to kind of do that? And so I'm at a point now where, like, I've been teaching people nervous system management for so long, or stress management, whatever you want to call it, trauma management, that I've come to a point where I'm starting to actually find a way to integrate the two. And so I've decided, with all my this new spare time that I've got, I've been running a lot of workshops. So, nervous system management is something that people can understand, like just the everyday person. And so I've been trying to sort of present that knowledge, but then kind of adding a little bit of spirituality, I guess, on top of that, but in an empowering way. So it's like trying to educate people on the importance of nervous system management. It's not just a matter of feeling good, but like when it comes down to it, I actually wrote this earlier because I thought this is something that you guys would relate to, and I just wanted to put it in a way that was succinct. People from TASA especially are all about sovereignty, and sovereignty is about the freedom to choose. And often the conversation is around external sovereignty, but nervous system management is actually about internal sovereignty. And I noticed during your conversation last week, I didn't watch a lot of it, but I heard you guys, when you were talking about frequency a little bit at the start there. And nervous system management, at the end of the day, it's really about, firstly, being aware of the fact that your stress response has been triggered, and then secondly, choosing to turn it off. And what it comes down to is a choice between living your life from fear or living your life from love. And so it's about frequency. It's about choosing not to indulge in the fear and the anger and and the jealousy and the resentment, and actually instead choosing to and implementing tools to make this happen, to increase your frequency so that you're coming from a place of love, of kindness, of compassion, of courage, of joy. And that, to me, is what nervous system management is about. And that's what self-sovereignty is, because it gives you the choice of where you want to come from. And obviously the work that I do in relationship coaching, it's about helping people to choose to love their partners rather than to come at their partners from that low vibe of fear. And so that's what I'm in the process at the moment of kind of integrating those two concepts, because relationships is something that's obviously really important to most people, that people are wanting to learn about how to do better. And so that's what I'm working on at the moment, is I know this information is vital. You know, the most important thing that we can do is to teach the importance and the how-to of self-sovereignty to as many people as we can. But people, when you say, hey, you need to learn about sovereignty, they go, huh? What are you talking about? But if they come to me and they go, I want to learn about relationships, I'm like, cool. And then I can slide in the sovereignty bit in there because it relates to something that they're already related to. And so, yeah, next week, for the TASA group, I am running a workshop, a webinar on nervous system management. So it's about, firstly, as I said, the awareness. How do we know when our stress response is activated, and how can we recognize that? Because the unconscious mind, which is where the stress response comes from, is really, really good. It's really strong. It does its job really well. But one of its tricks is to like, it wants to keep you in your stress response because that's what it thinks is keeping you safe. And so it doesn't communicate that message to your consciousness, which is what has the power to turn it off. And so I teach people how to increase their awareness around when they're triggered. It's always the first thing that I teach in my relationship coaching, because when we're in our stress response, we can't communicate. And obviously, to heal relationships, you need to be able to, that's the first skill that you need to be able to have, to be good at communicating. And then the second, so the first is the awareness that you've been triggered, and then it's giving you the tools to turn that stress response off so that you can then come back together and have those conversations. So yeah, my webinar next week is going to be about that, the awareness and the tools. Yeah. Who's got questions?
So this stress stuff, I mean, so you can, I mean, we all deal with it in different ways, and for some people it takes over their life. But so you can learn to switch it off. You can learn.
Yeah.
You're going to tell us where the switch is.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Right. Well, that'd be valuable.
Yeah.
That'd be valuable.
Yeah.
Right.
And of course, the other thing is, when you go into your stress response, your entire system thinks that you're like fighting a lion or something. You know, it jumps to the worst possible scenario. And in order to fight that lion, your focus narrows. So you can only see the danger, which means you can't see the big picture, which means at the end of the day, you can't see truth. And so in order for people to really be able to see the truth of what's going on in the world, they have to be calm. And that's why these people are, you know, the people who are controlling the world to such an extent these days, that's their greatest tool, is keeping people in fear. Because when you're in fear, your focus narrows and you don't see the truth anymore, because you can't see the bigger picture.
Okay, I see you got your hand up, Fred. I'll just comment before we go to you. So that focus that comes from the fear, that works for you if you're living in the wild, but it doesn't work for you in society.
100%. I mean, most of us these days are lucky enough to get through our entire life and not have a life-threatening situation, which that system is actually useful for. And relationships in particular, it's so unuseful because you lose access to your logic and you see your partner as the competitor, the person that you have to fight.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Fred, go for
Yeah,
your
Rachel, just two things. One, have you ever used like supplements for the control of stress, like ashwagandha and things like that?
I have used ashwagandha. I don't use anything regularly. I'm not a great sleeper. Ever since I had kids, I'm just a terrible sleeper. So I go through stages of using things like that. Why do you ask?
No, I just use it quite a lot quite a lot. I use it every day. It's part of one of my supplements that I take for more than just the stress part. But one of the things I find when I run out, things become a little more personal.
Yeah.
With the ashwagandha, it takes away that, gives you just like a bit of a fuzzy, fuzziness. But yeah, I've just sort of often thought about the Vedics. They weren't stupid, they had these herbs for a reason. And, other than, like I say, there's quite a few things that ashwagandha is good for, but stress and removing a lot of that stuff is good. The other thing was Wayne said he's going to hold up a flyer of some sort, but when exactly are you going to be doing this?
So it's next Saturday, and it's from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So in Darwin, that'll be 1:30.
Half an hour, yeah. Saturday 1:30
to 3:30.
to 3:30. And how do we get onto that?
So Wayne's going to share the link.
Okay.
I'll put the link when I upload this video to the Pepper Files. I'll put the link under that.
Beautiful.
And the flyer will be floating about. I could even send you the flyer if you want, and you can share it around or whatever you want to do.
Yeah, cool.
No, that'd be good. That'd be good.
And I'll give everybody my email address just in case for some reason you don't get the flyer or can't access whatever, and I will send you the link. So the email address is info at racheljacoby.com, which is just RACHEL. Oh, it's spelt there.
Right.
JAKOBI.com.
So there you go. You got anything else going on in that head of yours, Fred, or you done? Or
I've got lots going on in there, mate. You know that never stops. But,
I know nothing can help you with that.
I don't know. I've got to let somebody else. Sorry, I yield. Yeah.
Thanks, mate. Sarah, go for it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Rachel. I just wanted to ask. So, I'm not in a relationship at this point in time, but we have relationships with other people, like, that sort of is a normal kind of a thing.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm noticing is that it's not so much that people are frightened, but I do think at the moment, particularly with the world, because I know a lot of TASA people have turned off the TV, they've turned off the radio, they've turned off a whole lot of stuff, but we still are informed, and we're probably in some ways more informed because we read a lot of stuff, we get a lot of stuff coming in from a lot of different alternative kind of sources.
Yeah, you're not getting it from the mainstream who are full of lies. Right.
Yeah. But that is contributing, I think, to a lot of people just feeling complete overwhelm, which is not the same as fear, but it does put you into a different place where, again, you're not coping with stress very well because it's just it's like this constant barrage. So I'm guessing that probably lowers your ability to actually be able to clearly think when you are in situations where you need to negotiate your way
Yes.
through a specific situation.
Yeah.
So what you do would probably help people be able to deal with that as well, to sort of
100%. Yeah. And you know what, that one is, because this is an experience that I've had as well. It's like, oh my God, there's so much to do. Like, how are we going to get out of this? And one of my tools actually of stress management, like, because of all the different places that I will be helping you in the workshop next weekend to identify where all your stresses are coming from, because it's often from places that you don't really realize. And one of those places is our belief systems and our expectations. And so when we look at that, like, what the overwhelm doesn't necessarily come from all the things we have to do. It's how we perceive those things that we have to do. And it's the expectations that we have of ourselves to accomplish all of those things. And it's, you know, and things like that can, and I don't know where TASA people generally sit in terms of faith and spirituality, but that is something that can be managed using that. It's like, okay, I'm human. I'm only capable of what I'm capable of. And I've got my back to, you know, do the best that I can. And what I can't do, I'm going to leave, you know, up to the creator or the universe or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think it's not so much that, you know, I think we've got a very broad spectrum, you know, across faith and religion and things like that. I think it's more that the thing that I've been noticing when I talk to TASA people and people generally across the freedom movement is there's so much to try and learn. There's so much to take in. There's like, where do I draw the line? Because you feel like you're kind of being overloaded with stuff, and you're like, how do I even start with this? Because it's so all-consuming. And I think that that's contributing to people's feeling of possibly not stress, but they're feeling tired before they start, just because they're looking at this mountain of stuff going, oh my God. So, yeah, I think anything that would be able to help people sort of carve a pathway through that, I think that would be great.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you mentioned the belief system, because I've always, for a long time, said that stops people from learning from taking on new information, because your belief system has started when you were a very small child, and it's internal, it's in the background. And as an adult, we're trying to make decisions, and we don't even know that a belief from when you were 4 or 5 years old is actually getting in the way and steering you around.
That's it.
So, very big part of it, I think. Yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah. So, you know, this work takes a lot of self-reflection and a lot of awareness around your thoughts. Yeah. And you can't do any of that when you're in your stress response, because your focus is just so narrow.
Yeah. Yes, awareness is the word, all right. And how do you get people to be, you know, to take on awareness when they're unaware? Like, it's how do you find where to start? But I think there's going to be a lot of value in your talk, Rachel. There, Fred.
Good.
Just quick. Oh, I got that right. I'm trying to turn the hand off. It's all right. One of my big learnings was that I received one of the responses I carried through into adult life from young child was never asking for a helping hand, because my father was a European Dutchman, and so you don't ask for a help. If you're in a situation, you've put yourself there, you get yourself out. And it wasn't until I had my own children and I'm sitting there laying down the law to them, and I suddenly go, hang on, how are they ever going to get out of that hole, you know? It's interesting, as you said, we carry things over from childhood, you know.
And almost all of our belief systems are actually connected to the nervous system, in terms of we develop beliefs that make us feel safe in certain environments. you know, for example, you might live in a household where you were really chatty and asked lots of questions, and it was too much for your parents, and so they said, be quiet, and and then you kept going, and then they got angry at you, and then you learnt, I have a belief that to keep safe, I need to be quiet. And then you move out of that environment as an adult, and then you've got to actually get past that belief and let go of that belief in order to be successful and, you know, be a contributing member of society, you know. Just as an example.
Interesting subject. So, Fred, you mentioned ashwagandha there before, and I take ashwagandha. There's a bit of stuff I take every day, and if I didn't have it for a week, I know when I first was exposed to it many years ago, I got hold of some, and then when I stopped taking it, when I ran out, I couldn't work out what was wrong.
Wow.
And it's not that it's addictive. It does, in a way, help you stay settled. It's got a lot of good points. But the go-to place for all of this sort of stuff that we're talking about here, Rachel, you go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist, and they're invariably getting ready to buy a new boat, so they want to give you a prescription.
Yeah.
One that I was talking to my daughter this morning. She's on a prescription that she wants to get off, and she's been around this kind of stuff a little while, and she wants to get off it. Normally, you might cut the pill in half and halve the dose, and you'd wean yourself off it. But they've got her on a slow release capsule, so that there's no way you can wean yourself off it. And I said, that's evil. That's absolutely evil. So all those manufactured drugs, you get some sort of result, but for every action, there's a reaction. I think it's fixed one part of your problem, but it's kicked off something else normally. But it is for a lot of people that don't understand life like we maybe understand it. That's their go-to point. They go to the psychiatrist or end up at the psychologist, the psychiatrist. But you're not going that path, eh? You're not going to prescribe anybody any drugs, not even ashwagandha.
Oh no. And in fact, I struggle with psychologists because they, like, I know it's the psychiatrists that do the prescribing, but the psychologists keep you in therapy for years and years and years, and that's not necessary. I don't know a huge amount about psychology, but the impression I get is that they work with the conscious mind. So they're working with things that you already know. Yeah. Whereas I, especially with the EFT, but also to a degree with the hypnosis, you're working with the unconscious on an energetic level. The EFT actually works using particular meridian points around the body that, when stimulated, turn off the stress response. Now, we can't, and I'll go into heaps more detail next week, but we can't heal physically and we can't heal emotionally when our stress response is triggered. And so in order to heal emotionally, you have to be in your rest and repair response. And if you're going to a psychologist and talking about your trauma, it re-triggers you straight back into your stress response, and then you can't heal it. And it'll only heal after, 3 to 5 years, because you're sick of talking about the same thing over and over again. You're like, I've got to get rid of this, Whereas the work I do, it's much faster because it's happening on that unconscious level where the trauma is actually stored.
Okay. You're definitely talking my language. What about is it timeline therapy, where they take you out on a timeline? I've had that.
A little bit of that, and as I said, like that's a hypnosis kind of NLP technique.
Yeah.
That was one of the first things that I studied, and I don't use it as much because I find the EFT so incredible.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've actually had that done to me on a Zoom call. A mentor of mine
Wow.
has done it a couple of times.
Yeah.
And there was a part of me that was saying, oh, fuck's sake, no, I'm not going there, not in front of everybody. And there was probably only 5 or 6 people on the call, but I went there and it was beneficial. And I've done it twice.
Yeah. Actually, I went to a Tony Robbins event. There would have been 5,000 people at the Sydney Entertainment Centre. And he did timeline therapy for everyone at once. And it was life-changing, I would have to say.
Yeah. Very good. Very interesting. Raymond, you've got your hand up.
Sorry about before, we had a power surge.
Oh, no.
Yeah, the meter box at the front's gone, but I venture to suggest we'll get another one because this weekend is a storm. And it's going to get really ugly as the day goes on. Yeah, I was just going to say the psychologist and psychiatrist, because I did 3 years of psychology, but deviated into teaching, not the psychology way. To keep it simple, a psychologist is a counselor. So it's social. A psychiatrist is a medical doctor. They've got a medical degree, hence they can prescribe medication. As for all of this, it's inbuilt into the system. Whichever job you do, from prime minister to professionals to tradesmen to office jobs, that's the economy. Everything has a commercial value. Everything is business because we don't really have capitalism. We have cartelism. You know, bring all these companies together into corporations. So the previous system we had prior to World War I was based on trade and cultural contact, right? It was the currency was made of gold and silver. The value was in the coin. When we came to this new fiat money system and capitalism and cartelism and the communists to keep the capitalists in line and vice versa, it's just all about exploitation and it's everywhere. Real estate, wherever. Like I could have a tradie come to my house and expect the same pay as a doctor. That is what the system was designed to do from the beginning. I yield.
Yeah, wow. It's interesting your comment about the difference between the psychiatrist and the psychologist, and the way I look at it is the psychiatrist will get his boat a lot quicker and the psychologist, he'll get his boat a bit slower and it won't be quite as fancy. But yeah, they're both
because this idea of we work 4 days and every Tuesday we play golf. What? That mentality goes back to the early 20th century. That was never the mentality of qualified people ever in human history. This is a modern idea that happens to have come in after the fiat money system and the birth certificate fraud. They just happen to share the same timeline, I yield.
Funny that.
Okay. Any more? You want to pump any more questions into Rachel while we've got her here? We're all done. I'll see if I can.
So I thought while Wayne's playing with that, it's interesting actually. The word of the day today was, and it was interesting that you mentioned it, Rachel, was self-determination, or you actually talked about sovereignty, but self-determination. And it's interesting because Merriam-Webster is the online dictionary I usually use, and it now has this option of you can have the normal definition or the simple definition. So, the normal definition is free choice of one's own acts or states without external compulsion. And the simple definition of that is the freedom to make your own choices. And you touched on that when you said that, we don't know to what extent we're being influenced by, external influences, parents, schooling, history, friends, clubs that we belong to, education, religion, all that kind of stuff. There's an awful lot of stuff out there that pushes us around, and what we think are our own choices are not. The other definition is determination by the people of a territorial unit of their own future political status, or the simple version of that is the right of the people of a particular place to choose the form of government that they will have. So, there you go. You've got the macro and the micro. So we're talking about the macro in terms of the country, and that's what Africa are doing right at the moment. And then you've got the micro, which is us saying we're not going to allow other external influences to push around our nervous system. We will choose our action rather than just reacting blindly. So, yeah.
Nice.
So this is self-determination. I've got here that self-determination is the fundamental right and psychological capacity of individuals and groups to make their own choices, govern their own lives, and control their future without external interference. That sounds all right to me.
Yep, that sounds great.
Ray, you better talk before you get another blackout, another power surge.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, self-determination to me is that you have the choices, you make or break, and you determine where your life goes independently of others. I yield.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And it's funny because Anna's documents this week talk quite a lot about that kind of stuff. In fact, it's kind of funny how Anna's stuff talks a lot about a lot of the things that we've covered today. So would you like me to start working through those?
Yeah, if you do that, I couldn't get that flyer to come up, but remember when we did the early on and we did the electro gardening?
Yes.
I've got some photos there of the magical pawpaw trees that grew really quickly. So if you want to do that, and I'll see if I can get them on the screen if it works for me. I had them on the screen when Fred and I were there.
Wayne, I never ever saw them in full picture. It was just like a little finger box like you had with the flyer there, mate. I thought you were just showing me on the little
so they didn't come up full screen.
No,
That's interesting. No. All right, well, we'll see what happens. But yeah, go ahead, Sarah, and we might do the...
I can tell you that the copper that we put next to the peas and beans, our peas shot up like massively.
Yeah.
And Mum's like, well, it's helping them grow, but there's no peas on them. Well, now there are peas on them, lots of peas on them. So really does work. We're now trying to find zinc to put into the soil because apparently zinc and copper, not together, but if you put them apart, they'll create some kind of really low charge, which keeps away all of the insects.
Sarah, all you need is galvanised wire or even a galvanised pipe. Same thing, and just put the copper and the galvanised pipes within fairly close proximity.
So just galvanised pipe or galvanised nails.
Absolutely. I used copper wire and galvanised wire down a wooden stick.
Yeah.
And that worked really well. But yeah, if you've got a pipe, just stick another pipe in beside it, galvanised, and a copper one.
Because we can get zinc plated stuff, and I wondered whether that was okay.
That's galvanising.
Oh,
what they call galvanising is all zinc.
So zinc plate. Okay. Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know. Okay.
No, it's easy to do that one.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, the copper's working really well. And then I know we're a bit off topic. I'll get to Anna in a second. But the other thing I looked at was when I was like, okay, so copper and zinc, they do that. But copper and zinc together make brass. And remember back in the day, they used to have brass door handles everywhere and brass like filials on the stair posts, and no one got sick because brass kills everything, which is amazing. Yeah. So the things we're finding out. So, when my millions come through, you better believe that I'll be putting incandescent lights everywhere and brass door handles on everything.
Yeah.
Anyway, Anna's documents. Righto, where are we? So this is from last Saturday through to today. Alrighty, so the first notice she put out was an international public notice. So she's letting GovCo and everyone know about this, and it's about credibility. And she pretty much is saying, I haven't lied about anything. There's a lot of people trash talking me, and how would they know anything, because none of them have done any research on anything. So I've summed it up as there are a lot of people trying to debunk Anna and her claims. She is an angel, as in fact many of us are also, and she's talked a lot about that over the last few weeks. The Vatican and other bad actors have been claiming things like, Obama with his 57 states of America, and people are saying, oh, weather modification doesn't exist, chemtrails are just in your imagination. But we know that the patterns exist and have existed for over 100 years. So back in the 1800s, they were mucking around with the weather, and people are claiming that that's never existed either. But they're there. They're there in actual fact. Ignorance is no excuse for slandering people or bringing their credibility into question. Start to listen to yourself and your own spidey senses. She talks a bit about telepathic ability in this particular one. She says there's 3 types of telepathy. There's where you hear stuff, there's where you know stuff, and there's where you feel stuff. And she's saying that we all really need to start coming back into that, that feeling space, or that, start to use those telepathic powers and start to judge things for ourselves and figure out the resonance of what things are being said, and then sit with it and go, does that feel like it might be right? The next one is a Grana message, and I think what she's trying to do here, so she says, you've been a receiver your whole life. Your name, your religion, your nationality were all thrust upon you, so you received them. Then the voice in your head probably isn't yours. It's influenced by people around you, by advertising, political parties, transmission straight into your brain, and sensory impressions. Then there is the little voice that we have inside of us that tells us that we're not good enough, we're not tall enough, we're too this, we're not enough that. It affects all of those things about ourselves. And what she's saying is that there were a group of people, most of them pensioners now, that were able to stand back and either say no to the indoctrination, or were able to actually look at it and see it for what it was, and then extricate themselves from it long enough to be able to turn around and call it out. And what it basically is all of that indoctrination is turning everyone into the people that think, oh, if I buy Coke, I'll be able to go and run on a beach in a bikini and have a giant ball there and play around with that. Or if I have enough money, I'll be able to go and get that perfume or that, deodorant, and then girls will come and throw themselves at me. Or, it's all about us not being enough. So we spend more, and when we spend more, we become more of a cash cow for the system. But there is this group of people that didn't follow the path laid out for them. They're loudly proclaiming that there is a different way, and they are holding space for all of us to do the same if we wish to. Now, many of us are already on that path, but it wouldn't hurt to kind of just remember and give thanks to those people that went before us. Then there's another Grana message, and it's counsel from Forrest Gump. So I'm not going to go right through it all. It's not hard to read, but it comes down to love yourself, love others, and allow others to love you. Okay, so we all need to be open to receiving love. Okay. Then there's an international public notice. Again, this is a government notice, where she is informing everyone that we are actually meant to transmit, not just receive. So we've been trained to receive, which is kind of what she said before when, you're getting all this stuff put into your brain. We've been trained to receive frequencies and things that are meant to quieten down our frequency. So we've all been turned down, we're being blocked, we're being all sorts of things, and not being allowed to realise the full potential of who we are. We're actually meant to transmit our frequency. So she advises us to get into a quiet, dark space or a quiet space at night. If possible, turn off the power or go outside where it's not going to affect you much. Count and breathe slowly in and out to a count of 7, and listen for your own frequency. Once you hear it or feel it, tune into it a couple of times a day and breathe it into the universe. You are needed and necessary. The work we are to do requires speaking truth, transmitting love, and demonstrating courage. Then she talks about, there's an international public notice, and it's called The Song of My People. And it talks about how humming at the lowest tone you have available without strain can heal your vagus nerve in 7 minutes. If you do it several times a day, it will have profound effects on your body. And there is a YouTube video which talks about it at length. All of the YouTube videos I've sent through to Wayne so he can put them in the descriptor under this meeting chat thing. Then there's a couple of international public notices in which Anna is claiming all of the Germanic assets in Europe. So it has videos covering the erasure of the Tartarian Empire and how all the royal families can be traced back to Tartaria. So there, and it's obviously it's coming out of the Germanic, what we call the Germanic part of the world now, the Tartarian assets, and she's claiming all of them on behalf of the people. That's all of the people, respecting the claims of others with the intent to live in abundance, offering kindness, respect, and compassion to each other and all mankind. And then there are a couple of addendums to that in which she includes quite a few of the first American tribes and the Canadian tribes, because at a mitochondrial level, they also carry a haplo-X marker, which signifies their Tartarian roots, remembering that mitochondria is passed down through the mother, not the father. Then she talks, another public notice, talking about blood treaties, and she's invoking them. And what she's saying is blood treaties predate any other mandate, law, treaty, agreement, monarchy, etc., etc., etc. They extend across the earth and into the cosmic realms and territories ruled by galactic powers on behalf of all angelic nations, mankind, and allied humanoids. So they have all been invoked. So those blood treaties must be pretty full on, because she's pulled them out and laid them down on the table and said everything else is off the table because I've now pulled these out. So take from that what you will, people, but things seem to be hotting up in that whole cosmic realm. And with that, I'm done. You're muted, Wayne.
You got through them that quick. You must have missed some.
No, I didn't. It's just that there was a lot of videos, and some of it's really hard to summarize some of them. So you kind of have to go, if you start to describe it too much, you end up just rewriting the whole thing.
Yeah,
So it's easier just to kind of put a couple of words in. But there were a lot of videos, and some of them were the Tartarian ones, and I watched part of quite a few of them. The humming one, I actually went out and did that. That's really surprising. You think it won't do anything, but it really does. So
I did the same thing. Yeah.
You think, oh yeah, I'll give it a go, and then you come out and you're like, wow, that's different.
But you got to keep it up.
Yeah. And
did you say 7 minutes?
What's
yes.
that, Rachel?
Yeah, you count. Well, there's a couple of times she mentioned 7. The humming, I think, is the 7 minutes for your vagus nerve. But where you come into touch with your own vibration or your own frequency, that's count, like breathe in to a count of 7, breathe out to a count of 7. Okay. So 2 different 7s.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think my take on all of the Anna stuff is that she's kind of taken care of all of the business end of stuff, and now that's up to other people. And now what she's doing is she's on this time crunch to get as many people as she can up to speed before everything that's supposed to go down in the next month or 2 goes down. Because, and Fred, you might be able to shed some light on this, but everything that I'm hearing at the moment is that there is stuff that's going to go down in the next 6 to 8 weeks.
Supposed to be, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Can you tell us what it is, Fred, and exactly when it's going to happen?
Oh shit, yeah.
It's on the 17th of the 17th of June, Wayne. It's on the 17th of June at 5 p.m. And what's actually going to happen? No. No idea.
Rachel, I'm stressed now. I'm stressed.
Yeah, we're all waiting on us to grow up. That's all. It could be a while.
I wouldn't be surprised
No, there's
what
a lot.
happened
I
now.
mean, the Sagittarian moon that's coming up is a big one for
Yeah.
any of us, you know, because Sagittarian's the teacher. So there could be some beautiful lessons on the way. It's also a spiritual sign, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
And stuff going on all the time. I mean, I think we don't notice a lot of stuff. You really got to pull up
no.
and think back 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
And you start to realise that, you know, there's shit going on here. There's stuff
Yeah.
happening, right?
But it's a bit like was said in the beginning, you know, you don't notice all this stuff and you're feeling tired and you're thinking, Jesus, you know, what's going on, you know, and all that. But it's too much for the mind. So the soul just goes on and does what it has to do. And we're left with the tired body. But stuff has happened.
Yeah.
But listen to this. If you're feeling tired, I just saw this on Assembly Connect. Your tears contain a natural painkiller that is 6 times stronger than morphine, and you were trained to hold them back. In 2006, researchers at the Pasteur Institute in Paris discovered a molecule in human tears called leucine enkephaline. It is an endogenous opioid. Your body manufactures it. It binds to the same receptors as morphine. It is 6 times more potent. Every time you cry, your body is not breaking down. It is self-medicating. There you go, people.
So you got to keep on. Oh, that's better. Oh,
Yeah.
mate, that's so much
We just
better.
need to have a good cry.
Yeah.
Well,
Suck it all in.
got to be better than the bloody stuff that they give you, those opioid painkillers. Holy smokes.
Yeah, not wrong.
Oh, I'll just try. I'll have one more go. Sorry to bore you all, but I do want to see the paw trees. So just hang on a sec. I'll go at it a different way.
Oh, that's better.
That's no good either, is it?
No.
But that's all right. You can see it, sort of.
We can see it on the right-hand side there.
No, you're laughing at me. I'm not going to do
it. We're laughing with you, Wayne.
I'll find a way to do it. Honestly, they're 6.5 weeks old.
Yeah, show us. You can see it.
But they were 2 foot tall when we put them in. They're now nearly 2 foot above the fence, and they're starting to get fruit.
Wow.
That's in what, 6 weeks?
6.5.
6.5 weeks, 7 weeks. Yeah.
I've reached out to a guy down here who actually, I don't know if I told you guys, but his son is a shaman, and Glenn helps him make a whole lot of copper stuff to wear, like, you know, jewelry and necklaces and things like that. And I was talking to someone, actually, Susie Little. Sorry, she's not called Susie Little. Her name's Susie. She's on in a couple of weeks, and she's actually done a little bit of work around copper as well and how to wear it and where to wear it. But Glenn has said that he'll come on. He hasn't been all that well, but he's going to come on in a few weeks' time and talk to us about what copper can do for us, because it can do obviously good things for plants. So he's going to talk about what it can do for us. But Susie's got some stuff to talk about that as well, and she'll be on the 13th, I think. Yeah. So
we're booked out for a month.
Pretty much. We've got Ben Lang coming on next week to talk to us about how he has won in court and educated the cops while he was at it. And then we've got Susie coming on. She had a bit of a run-in with the cops down here and ended up in Dame Phyllis Frost for about a week.
You'll tell us what happens if you don't do well in court.
Yep. Well, I don't think she even got to court. It was one of those times when the police were just operating completely outside their remit, which is a lot. So she ended up in Dame Phyllis Frost, and she's going to come and talk to us about that experience. And then after that, and then we've got Donna talking about, we're going to talk to Donna and see if she can come on about how to handle her vessels. And then at some stage, different Donna, maybe from the corruption whistleblower. We were thinking we'd have it on earlier, but then I realised that people had been double booked, so that's my bad.
But pay more attention, Sarah.
I should. We'll get Donna and Peter on from the Whistleblower. So maybe early July. And
the man, not to mention the man with the copper.
Yes, and Glenn as well.
Yeah.
So we've got quite a few good visitors sort of lined, or guests lined up over the next couple of weeks. And for anyone that's heard Donna and Peter on Helen's podcast, I would absolutely recommend go and listen to it, because it's a really good podcast. They've got some great information about what they're doing at the moment, which is relevant to all of us, whether you're reconveyed or not. So I would absolutely recommend 100% go and listen to that one. And so they'll be on in about a month, I think. We've got some good people lined up over the next few weeks.
We've got some stuff happening.
We have.
So have we got anything else to carry on about today, or have we covered everything? Rachel, is anything you'd like to add? I will get that flyer. I'll advertise it. I'll put it on my car window for you.
Good. Thank you, Wayne. Thanks for having me. It's been a very interesting conversation.
A pleasure to have you. And I will do my best to tune in to your Zoom call. I think it'll be very interesting. I will do my best to make sure my daughter is on your call. And we'll go from there. Hopefully we'll get many people. But
beautiful.
I think it'll be good. I think we're coming into, I mean, not that we haven't been, it's not really like it's been all relaxing and, just sipping Mai Tais for this year, but I do think we're being squeezed at the moment. And I read something or saw something the other day, and there was a guy came out and he said the reason everything is getting really ramped up in the political world and the media world at the moment is because this is a civilization literally collapsing in real time. And so what they're trying to do is grasp as much as they can. It's not fun being on the kind of the other end of that, because it just adds to your sort of stress levels. And particularly when, and I know a lot of people in TASA, their families are, I wouldn't say divided, but certainly two points of view there. And, in my family, we've got a couple of members who assiduously watch ABC and they watch Sky News and they tell us all this stuff. And it's like, it's really hard when you're trying to kind of vibe high and just go, you know what, that's over there. This is not the path I'm on. And they're doing it anyway. So
again, all by design, exactly as it was planned to do from day dot. It's just where we are in that puzzle of planned corruption. But nice to see Rachel for the first time, and nice to see Fred again too.
All right. Thank you very much all for your time and your energy. Thanks, Rachel, for coming on, and we'll be talking.
Very much for having me.
Yeah, our pleasure. All right, I'll stop the record right now. Hang on a minute.
See you, everyone.
Thank goodness for that, says Wayne. I can swear.